Hello, my family. So we are in the kitchen, and I told you I was going to make up a brief and short video, and I'm going to show you how to prepare your yellow squash, and then I am going to give you a very simple pasta sauce. So without further ado, let's just go to this. So this is the one I told you they were going to start by cutting in rings. I'm going to set you up so you can watch how this is done, and then we are going to salt it to slightly dry this out. I am going to go ahead and set the oven at this point and preheat it to 425 degrees. And now while that's preheating, we're going to go ahead and cut our squash. Let me set this up so you can see it. Okay, so I am going to actually I'm going to cut this down in 3 sections. So I'm literally just going to go ahead and start here. There's one section. This one's a tough one. And 2 sections. Now, I have 3. So what I'm going to do now is take and remove all the seeds in here. Now for this one, it's easy because I just take my knife around the edges and remove my seeds. The other ones I'll just have to scrape out. So I'm actually going to get a small paring knife because it'll go around here a lot better. Another way you can do it is just put it up on its side and just go all the way around it. And then this way, all you have to do then is just literally pop this out. It makes it easier and less of a mess to clean up. So, and then just like that, you got your hole. We're going to take it on that wire rack I showed you earlier and just set that right there. So I'm going to get a spoon right now. Yeah. And I'm just going to take right here in the center, scrape this out. Now I found something interesting. I don't know if, for those of you who can, like I do, I'm going to show you a neat little trick here that's really amazing. So all I do is just take an old lid that I'm not using and I can't can with, and I will literally come in here and scrape the inside of this out. I was really shocked. Another homesteader had taught me this little trick, and I was actually kind of amazed at how clean this actually worked. But on this one, it's a little bit too small, so anything that was bigger. But I thought I'd show that to you in case you guys have some kind of, like the butternut squash, if you do half of it, that actually does work. Or if you do decide to put these in half, it will work on that as well. I'm just going to continue to scrape out just the insides and then set that over on the side and then do our last one here. Now this is the technique I was telling you about that will help dry out your squash and not make it watery when you prepare your dishes. And that's it. So I'm going to go ahead and clean up this mess, and then I will show you what the next step is to get this set up. Let me just, actually, while that's setting, I'll do this. So I'm going to put this aside. Bring this over here in my pan. Now remember, you want to have this on top of a rack. You do not want this to sweat and sit within itself. So I'm going to take right now and sprinkle my salt all the way around on the insides and edges. Now this one doesn't have holes at the bottom, so we're going to turn this upside down. That way it will sweat that way. And then this one here, it's got holes on both ends and then that ring in the center. So I'm just going to sprinkle salt all the way around it and on the inside. And we're just going to go ahead and set this aside for about 10 minutes and allow it to sweat. In the meantime, I'm going to prepare our sauce and I'll show you how this is made. Okay, my family, so the sauce. There are several items that you can use. Now this is just a simple marinara or a simple tomato sauce. I have, in years past, I have literally actually overdid a sauce. I found that a simple sauce tastes really, really good, and I'm going to show you how to do that. Now I do have several ways of doing this. You can use your own homemade, home jarred tomato sauce if you have it. But if you are some of those folks who are not able to do this, you can still make a very beautiful sauce. The ingredients that you will need is either a can of tomato sauce, no salt added whole tomatoes, or one even better would be the whole San Marzano tomatoes. These I actually love working with, but you can literally, which we're going to use today, is just a small thing of tomato sauce. The other thing you'll want to do is use some fresh basil. If you're fortunate to grow fresh basil, you can find it in your produce store if you wanted to. You can use dried. And then the other ingredient will be salt and pepper to taste and a good fresh garlic. This is all you need to make a nice sauce. Now, in times past, I said how I overkilled the flavor in it is I would think it would need fennel seed and Italian seasoning and oregano, and although it was good, I didn't realize how I could just take a very simple sauce and make it taste so good in itself. And then just being able to add the meat and let other flavors blend into the sauce. So I'm just going to show you the simple way. It is really less expensive, and it's, I mean, when people don't have a whole lot of time, this is the way to go. So let's get started. Okay, so I am just going to go ahead and add my tomato sauce to my pan. You are more than welcome to crush your garlic and add to this and leave it in there, or you can turn around and just crush it, let it simmer in there to release the flavor, and then remove it. Either way you want to go. Now me, I'm just going to probably mince it and leave it in here. So the other thing I actually love fresh basil, but this cold snap recently killed off what was left of my basil. So unfortunately, I'm going to have to do the dried stuff. So you can do this. For one 15-ounce can, I'm using about a teaspoon of basil. And then I am going to be adding my crushed garlic here. I'm just going to pop my garlic just like so. And then I'm going to just mince it. And then add it to my sauce for the flavoring. And then salt and pepper. And that's it. I'm not going to add any more to this. If you want it thicker, you can add some tomato paste. This is going to be used purposely for a spaghetti, basically, meal called a millionaire spaghetti with spaghetti squash. So now I'm just going to mix this all together. Pop this on the stove, And that's it, y'all. This makes a really nice, basic, flavorful sauce, and it will match really nice with everything that you use it. Whether you use this for a pizza, pasta, however you want to use this. Now I'm just going to set it on the stove, put it on simmer, and I'm going to let that be. So I'm still waiting for the spaghetti squash to sweat, and once that finishes sweating, I will come back and show you what to do next. Okay, y'all, so our 10 minutes is up, and I am trying to set this lighting here just where you can see the glistening. If you can see that right there, that's where all that liquid has started seeping out. And I don't know if you can see it, but it was dripping. Let's see if I can get you down here to see this, where it's dripping on my hands. So at this point, it's been dripping onto our pan, and our liquid is here. So this is what we do next. I will flip these over. We will then take a dry paper towel and we'll start dampening off the liquid that we use the salt to expel out of our squash, just like so. Do this on all these pieces. And this helps you to be able to have a nice spaghetti squash, not filled with water, if you wanted to have actually pasta out of it. And now that I've done this, I am going to take and drizzle each piece with some olive oil. We definitely don't have to salt it again because it's already been salted and it's been pretty much flavored after it's sweated into the squash. Now this one here, these are like a bowl, but I'm going to coat the sides just like so, and then I'm going to turn them just like this. And again, I'm going to cook them on top of this rack here. And I'm going to coat this on the outside of it. And then we are going to pop these in the oven and allow them to bake until they are just tender enough to pull away with a fork. Again, this is at 425 degree oven. And once this is baked, we will be right back. Okay, y'all, so our squash just came out of the oven, and I want to show you how easily this just peels right off this edge. Now, these are hot, so I'm just going to peel this away from the skin. And I'm going to get ready to stick this in the baking dish because we are going to be adding our sauce and everything. I will go ahead and give you the recipe to this. I didn't start preparing this whole meal with you, but this might be a meal for all. This can be for low carb, those who are on diabetic, those who are just trying to lose weight, or those who just want to be able to have a healthy meal. So, I mean, this is an all-around recipe. There's no specific area basically for it. So at this point, I'm going to take and move my baking dish because I'm going to have to try to work on this board instead and put my other baking dish on here. Hang on a second, I got to go get a mat on here. And this is the baking dish that we're going to work with right now. So now I'm going to take that half I just cleared off, and I'm going to slide it inside here. I'm also going to grease this pan. So I'm going to take some olive oil spray, and I'm going to spray our baking dish right here. Just enough to keep it from sticking. All right, and now I'm gonna pop this ring out after cleaning it off. Ooh, that's hot, y'all. So now I'm gonna just clean all this up, set this aside, and then move on to the other two shells. So I'm gonna go ahead and clean off these shells. Once I get them done, I'll show you what the next step to this meal is. Okay, y'all, so we got our spaghetti squash cleaned out of the shell now. I had greased this pan, spread it across the bottom of our baking dish, and now I'm going to take so much of our sauce and I'm going to kind of layer this in here. Now, the meat that's in this sauce, I'm actually, and I'll explain that in a minute, but I'm going to stir this sauce into this squash, by the way. And the meat that we're using is, I had 1 jar left from last year's stock of ground deer meat. I kind of hung on to it, but it was the last celebration, basically, so we're going to use it since we've got a new pantry haul coming. So I thought it was just fitting to use it for tonight's meal, and deer meat makes an amazing pasta too. So now I'm just going to go ahead, spread this sauce on here. And now I'm going to take the cheese mix, which you can use your preferences. I am using ricotta, Gouda, and Monterey Jack. So I'm just going to spread this around a little bit. Just like so. I'm actually going to go ahead and put all of this in here. I'm going to go ahead and continue layering this, and then once I get this completely finished, I'll go ahead and do the topping, because I need to grate the cheese now. That goes on the top of this dish, and then we will bake it. And this is going to be our, what's called our $1 million pasta spaghetti without pasta noodles. And y'all, this really does taste absolutely amazing. So I'm going to go ahead and finish layering this, and then I'm going to grate the cheese, and we'll be right back. As you all know by now, well, at least not the new, but the ones who have been with me, you mainly know that I don't like to serve boring meals, whether they're special needs in diet or not. Boring is not my thing. I will revise meals all the time. That's what makes me unique. So I just sprinkled parsley on the top of our dish. And like I said, I'm going to take the rest of this sauce. I'm going to place it over the top of our cheese mix. Just bring it over through here. Finish off this pan. And now I'm going to sprinkle this with, this is our Gouda. And the only reason I'm using Gouda basically is because I don't have any mozzarella cheese. But you can use whatever cheese you have on hand in your refrigerator. That's what I love about meals like this. It's making a nice casserole. I'm going to go ahead and sprinkle some Parmesan cheese on top. Put this back in a 400-degree oven for about 10 to 20 minutes until it's nice and bubbly, and dinner will be finished. I will more than likely serve this with salad and some garlic dressing on top, or creamy garlic dressing. And that's it. So we're going to put this in the oven. Allow that to bake. And once that's finished, I will bring you back to the finished product. And there we have it, y'all. I will give you a close-up pic of this casserole. I will say about the longest time for this dish was cooking or baking the squash. That takes anywhere from 40 to 50 minutes. It could take up to an hour depending on your stove. Again, mine was set at 400 and it took about 45 minutes. So after that, putting this together and everything, it It was an amazing dish. In no time, I now have supper. So let me go ahead and do a close-up with you, and I'll be right back. And there we have it, y'all. Our $1 million spaghetti tonight. This is a low-carb, safe meal for a diabetic. My husband is type 2, just to catch up on others who have not been with us before. So we do low-carb, but honestly, I don't deprive this man. He doesn't eat in a way that you can tell that he is a diabetic. It is perfectly safe, and like I said, anybody can enjoy this meal. So if you want to convert this into an everyday meal, you can absolutely eliminate the spaghetti squash, replace it with pasta, and make this dish your own. Again, I will put the recipe in the description box. Make it your own, but this is the low carb way, y'all. I love each and every one of you, and until next time, much love from Parton's Heritage Homestead.